Would you like to live your best life possible, regardless of your imperfections? Discover cutting-edge tools and inspiration to let go of your limitations and expand your life beyond what you've ever imagined. On Imperfect, Brilliance, we help you tap into your unique gifts and talents, uncovering and letting your brilliance shine. Join certified facilitator and coach Betsy McLaughlin as she delves into different areas of your life to get unstuck and create the life that is truly possible for you. Betsy has changed her life by utilizing the tools and techniques she is sharing with you. What if your willingness to acknowledge your brilliance is the catalyst to creating a new reality? When you stop judging you, what else can you create in your life and in the world? Join Betsy live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern to create magical and joyous possibilities for an hour of laughs, questions, tips, and more. We are excited to contribute and play with you.
Welcome, everyone, to Imperfect Brilliance. Welcome, welcome, and Happy New Year. It is 2021. And wow, what a year it's been. That's been a pretty uniform thing that people are saying. They're just really glad for 2020 to be done and looking forward to 2021. And so no matter, how your year was, it's always kind of just an interesting thing to look at and reflect, even if it's just for a moment, and welcome in the new year. And today we get to welcome Nicole Kim with us. So first and foremost, welcome, Nicole.
Hi, Betsy. Thank you so much for inviting me here. So excited and thrilled. And it's so interesting to call in on a radio.
I know. You're so very welcome. And we're talking about actually a subject that I love talking about. And it is one of the things that really dynamically changed for me when I realized a lot of what we will explore today, when I realized how stuck a lot of things that I was stuck in. So the name of the show today is What is Possible Beyond Your Imagination? And I love exploring that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we'll talk about today from Nicole's perspective. And, of course, I will be weighing in as well. And, we'll talk about, what would we like to create with the 2021, which is kind of why I led off with that, Happy New Year. And what would you like to create? What would you like to create for the next 5 years, next 10 years, your life and even beyond? So we're going to explore, how do you go beyond your imagination? And a little bit about Nicole. I'm going to read her bio, which is really pretty amazing. So she's spent most of her career working as a senior executive in large corporations, managing fashion design departments for over 20 years. That's pretty cool, and I'm sure you've got a lot of really amazing stories, even just on that piece. And during that time, she was always interested in finding out about other things, finding out about modalities that offered more peace, more joy, success, greater health, greater awareness, all of those things that so many of us are looking for. And then she discovered Access Consciousness, and it really contributed to her in many, many ways, and a lot more than she ever expected. And I can say the same thing for me. And she was surprised and excited at the same time. And so she chose to become an Access Consciousness facilitator. And so what has that meant for her? Well, her life has changed a lot in a very short amount of time. And at the same time, as she was exploring all of this, she did decide to become a certified facilitator, which puts you in another possibility of a lot of additional classes that you can facilitate. And so now she is a business coach, an energy healer. She's an investor. She's a stock trader, a jewelry designer, and a photographer. So, yeah, it sounds like you've got a lot of balls in the air. And then she says her life wasn't always like this, and it just keeps expanding. So if you would like to find out more about Nicole, you can find her at, let's see, her Facebook page is facebook.com/everyday possibilities. Her Instagram is also Everyday Possibilities. And what is your website? I don't know if we missed that or if I'm just not seeing it. Is that also Everyday Possibilities or?
Oh, my websites are under construction.
Okay.
But it'll be Everyday Possibilities. I love Everyday Possibilities. Like, possibilities that are not far away, that are hard to make happen or get, but the possibilities that are just available every day, every minute. So that's why I really like the name.
I really like that. So why don't we start there? And so how do you have, keeping with the theme of our discussion today, how do you have everyday possibilities that are beyond your imagination?
Oh, so, I have a bit of a spiritual background, whatever that means, but I used to do a lot of yoga. I was a teacher and do a lot of meditation. And I've tried multiple different modalities. And with each modality, a lot of times we're expected to or supposed to sit still in silence and meditate for a long time. And, there are many, many different practices. So just a little bit like I dabbled in some Hinduism and Buddhism and, a bunch of different things and other healing modalities as well. And so they're wonderful. Every single one I tried and, practiced, they're all great. But then when I come back to my fashion job, so I was working on 7th Avenue, working for these really globally well-known brands. These are like multi-billion-dollar companies. My reality was so different versus when I was at the ashram or the meditation center or when I was away on a beautiful retreat, in Sedona or somewhere in India. And I was just like, this doesn't work for me. I'll spend thousands of dollars to go on those retreats. But when I come back to my reality, which was working in this really high intensity job in fashion industry, I was like, what happened to my peace? What happened to all the serenity, the beauty that I experienced, or that enlightening experiences I had? So it kind of bothered me for a while. But of course, in the beginning, I didn't even know that why I was sort of agitated. I thought I was just stressed in my reality. Gotcha. But it took a while for me to actually get that. What I was dealing with was that sort of duality. Okay, so when you practice these things, it's wonderful, you're happy, but when you're not, and then your life sucks. So I didn't like that. So I was like, you know what? I don't want that kind of reality. So I started searching what else is really possible. And, how can I enjoy my life fully instead of feeling like, oh, fashion is superficial and these sort of spiritual practices are better. I wanted to find a way that I could enjoy my life and all different aspects of it. And also, I've always been a type of person who enjoyed many different things, no matter how many times my friends and my family made me wrong for it. They were like, oh my God, Nicole, you do this, you do that, you do so many things. How could you do that? Why don't you just do one thing? and for a while, I was like I was wrong. So I started hiding those things that I really enjoyed. And I would not just share the things that I really, really enjoyed in my private life at work or when I go to these spiritual gatherings or travel trips and things like that. I'll not necessarily talk about different sides of me or different parts of my life. Not that I had secrets or something to hide, it was just that people just didn't get me. And I was just like tired of explaining. And so my life became very segmented. You know what I mean? Like I had a group of friends who liked, I had a group of friends who liked horseback riding. And I had a group of friends who liked yoga or meditation. And I had a group of friends who loved drinking wine. So we'll go out on wine tasting and like tasting the most incredible wines and champagnes, you know? But when I go to my spiritual group, I could not dare to say that I spent this amount of money to, you know, tasted these wine from these beautiful regions of the world, right? So it just, so I was just like, you know, and also same with my creativity too, that I was working for these, you know, giant companies, and the goal was always about coming up with products that will become bestsellers. And each style was supposed to produce millions of dollars. You know, there's like all that expectation and planning and projections around the work that we did. So that really sapped my creativity, and I just became a just manager who was like overseeing everything. I got really great at it, but I was not totally thrilled about the whole thing. I was making great money, but it wasn't really fulfilling me. But then I wasn't going to like quit right away either, right? Like, how do you just quit your nice, cushy, 6-figure salary job just because it doesn't suit your whatever? So fast forward, I met this friend, and she introduced me to this thing called Access Bars, and I experienced it, and I was so relaxed, and all the stress and anxiety that I had about my personal life or the work goals or the goals that I had for myself sort of like melted away, and the same state stayed for 2 weeks. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I went with her and took a class, and I became a bars practitioner. And so I just loved it.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second, just in case anybody's listening who does not know what that is. Would you please just give a brief explanation of what it is?
Oh, yeah. So Access Bars is, you know, all about offering more ease for people or joy or, you know, less stress by touching on 32 different points of our head. There are different points in our head, and a practitioner can place their fingers on those parts. And the whole session may last for 45 minutes or an hour. And after that, you may feel like really relaxed or alive or just totally like, you know, totally eased off from stress. I mean, everybody's experience is really different, but it's been just contributing so much to me and my I don't know, the way I feel, the way I live my life, my energy levels, everything. And I
like
hear
well-being.
I hear so many incredible results from so thousands of people all over the world, and the website. You could read so much about it. I don't want to bring up stereotypical answers to this question. So there's www.accessconsciousnessbars.com or accessbars.com.
And you can you can search on accessconsciousness.com.
And you can read about bars.
And there's just a whole bunch. But like she said, you know, it and every session is different. And I tell you, for me, it's funny because I just came across my facilitator license for becoming a bars facilitator, and it's almost 8 years. Like February will be 8 years. And I look at how much my life has changed since then, and I'm just so grateful for it. And it really, it's hard to even put into words everything that this, you know, and you're thinking all you're doing is touching your head, but what it does, it releases so much and it changes so much. It's such an amazing contribution. So you guys, you can find out about, there's practitioners literally around the world that you can find somebody that could run your bars. Or if there's no one in your area, you can invite a facilitator in and they can teach a class and you can learn how to do it. But it is just one of the greatest gifts in my life, and it sounds like it has been for you. So, but thank you for taking that segue just to explain it. So now back to your story.
Yeah, so where was I? So bars really provided so much more ease and space for me. I mean, I've always been a high achiever, whatever that means, but I'd always kind of like, push myself to create a greater result all the time. And I expected a lot from me, but then at one point it really worked against me. But I didn't know that I was doing that to me. So after getting my bars run, I realized that I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress caused by me, myself. All the expectations and judgments or projections that I put upon myself was causing all these anxiety and stress, because I would not allow myself to be mediocre or fail, because I was trying to start my own jewelry brand around that time. This is like 3 years ago. And oh boy, that stress that I put myself through is just incredible. And I think that there are so many other people out there who's trying to perform better or trying to prove themselves to others or to themselves or to their family, parents or wives and husbands. It's like tremendous amount of stress. And actually, this kind of stress could really work against you. And then I didn't know that. It used to work really well for me. It was almost like me pushing myself to be better. But then something must have happened. It didn't work anymore. I was losing my health. I was getting sick, and I was dealing with a lot of stress. So bars just really helped me to get off that and become more aware of my health and my state, my mind, without trying. So that was just so great, because I didn't have to do some postures or some sort of breathing exercise in order for me to catch how I'm feeling or how I'm being or how to ease off or how to get rid of stress or the looping thoughts. It was just like instant after, running bars. And I really, really enjoyed being touched on my head.
Yeah, it is very, very nurturing. And you actually brought up a really good point that you don't have to figure out how to do it or like what it's doing, and that it actually just starts working. And here we are at our first break. So stay tuned so we can find out some more about what we can create beyond our imagination with Nicole after this break.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at OMTimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Are you looking to change anything in your life? To have an even greater appreciation of everything around you? Would you enjoy having a life of more joy and greater abundance? And explore what is possible for you? My name is Betsy McLaughlin, and I invite you to explore simple and pragmatic tools that I share on my radio show, Imperfect, Brilliance. I know firsthand that you can change anything. We explore tools and questions with amazing guests offering all kinds of conversations on living your best life. I invite you to listen in Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern to Imperfect Brilliance. Consider a coaching call with me and let's explore what you would like your life to be like. Visit my website at www.creatingyumminess.com and you're invited to call in to Imperfect Brilliance with your questions Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. I look forward to connecting.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
So what is available beyond your imagination? And that's where that's what we're already exploring today with my guest, Nicole Kim. I'm Betsy McLaughlin, and thank you so much for tuning in. And Nicole, so we were talking about the bars, access bars, and that's actually a great example of what is possible beyond what you can imagine, because if you just go to the logical thing of, well, somebody's just putting their hands on your head, how could it possibly change your whole entire life? You can't really imagine it, but yet here we are, both of us saying what an amazing contribution it has been. So in our own lives, and we know literally hundreds, and we've heard of thousands of other people that this process has contributed to. So where else, like, for you, when you're looking at how do you get beyond what you can think of in your head, what is that for you? And the theme of this week's show, going beyond your imagination. So could you give us a little bit more insight there?
I mean, in short, I think I was always interested in having a great life, like a life that I enjoy, a life in which I get to do things that I love to do, and being able to create and design all the things that I like to design. I really like creating things. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was working toward making all that happen in my life. However, just things became difficult, and it just felt like a lot of work. I worked hard. I worked a lot. A lot of people thought that I was workaholic, but I was not workaholic. I thought that was a way for me to move ahead. But where is I moving ahead to? And I was just simply tired of that kind of reality. But then I didn't know anything else that would make a huge difference for me in my work. And when I found Access, it was all about being able to remove any sort of beliefs, whether they're mine or somebody else's, like my mom's expectation of me, or, I was able to let them go easily. I didn't have to work hard at trying to erase them with other modalities, you sit down, you try to get rid of them over and over and over again. I actually have tried things like that. It really didn't work that well, and it wasted a lot of time. But with Access Bars, it was just so easy for me to be free from other people's rules or beliefs or point of view. So therefore, I was able to choose whatever that was right for me at that moment. And, there's this, my favorite Access saying, which is, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. And when I heard it, I was like, wow, that sounds so beautiful, but that's not for me. Because how could life be so filled with joy and ease and glory? Wow. That sounds really nice, but it's not for me. And then I was like, why not? Why I can't get that? I want that too. So anytime things became difficult or hard with my work or whatever that I was doing at that time, I feel like, damn it, universe, show me some joy, show me some ease. What would it take for me to have more ease, more joy? And really surprisingly, miraculously, things changed. Things turned around. And it was just so amazing how when you focus on creating more joy, actually I don't even know how to describe how that transformation happened. But you know what? I was just not willing to make myself or make my heart go through a more difficult time anymore. I just wanted something simple, easy, fun, and and those were the words that I never used. And I would have never described being in business with those kind of words. But nowadays, that's what I ask for. Okay, what would it take for me to have more ease and joy and glory with my business? Now I have multiple businesses. Thanks to all the tools that I learned, it's just really easy for me to create different entities and businesses and projects and products. And it's been just a lot of fun. And this kind of reality was not possible for me. I was ready to die, to tell the truth. My body was just so weak and tired of everything. I had so many health issues that I was like, oh my goodness, what is really happening to me? I just really just hopeless situations. I went through some really just horrible situations health-wise as well. But now I don't have that. I'm super healthy again. I'm strong. I get to do whatever I want to do. And I have great friends that contribute to me. And, where can I even begin? How to create a reality that goes beyond your expectations? I think for me, I created that because I just followed joy and something of ease. Whenever things got difficult, literally, I'll just sit and I go, wow, universe, show me what else is possible. What could bring me more ease and joy in this situation, in this moment? That's how I went about everything for the last couple of years. And my life turned around.
Thank you. I thought you were done. I'm sorry. Just curious, how long between, some of the things that you've talked about to, the transition from not working in the high pressure, high stress job to now having your different companies and having an easier, less stress-filled life. How long was that for you?
Well, I think about a year. I was really struggling to start my jewelry brand. About a year, and I couldn't really focus on really making the business prosper and expand. And I had a lot of stress and anxiety, and then I found excess parts, and it really contributed to me, and I was able to focus on work and actually even sketch. Couldn't even sketch because I was so judgmental over my work, or I was so afraid that nobody would buy my designs, or I won't be able to make money, or I just have a lot of doubts and questions that would not allow me to move forward about everything, every little task that an entrepreneur supposed to handle, and decision making. How can you get anything done if you cannot choose or decide on anything? So nowadays I'm teaching people how to create businesses, how to create money, how to increase revenues, or how to get off your own judgments over yourself and all that. And it's just so amazing how much of these thoughts or feelings or judgments that we use to hold ourselves back, knowingly or even unknowingly. I think most of the time people are not aware that what's actually happening is all that self-judgment or, borrowing other people's points of view so that we could hide or suppress our own abilities or capacities. So that was the first year of, Access Bars. And after that, I just followed the energy. I was always an intuitive person, and I would just follow the energy of whatever that was really expansive for me. And I'll take those classes, because within Access Consciousness, there are a lot of incredible classes. So I'll follow the energy, and I take one class at a time. And, I kept on working on my brands. And, I was always investing in the stock market, and it really contributed to that part of my life as well. And then I became a certified facilitator within a year. But until then, it wasn't that amazing yet. Like, my life wasn't that amazing yet, but I started experiencing the ease and more joy, and I became hopeful that, oh, wow, I have no doubt that things will work out. And my health actually improved so much within that first year that I was actually able to function, and I gained my strength back. I was able to walk okay and lift things okay. So there was a huge change, and my digestion became normal, and my back problem gradually went away. And, in Access, there are a lot of body processes, just like how bars are for those points, and it really contributes a lot to eliminate those feelings and emotions that we don't really need to handle anymore. There are body processes that handle those, feelings and emotions that are locked into our body, different body parts. So I received a lot of those body processes, and they just helped me so much. And then in 2019, things became so much better, health-wise, finance-wise, and I was making good money in my investing, and I set up a business as well for that. And I became a certified facilitator, and I started making jewelry. And my brain was functioning better. Like, I was able to focus on each task, and I was pumping out great ideas, great designs. I mean, this is one thing that I noticed about myself, that when I'm happy, when I'm joyful, and when I have that ease, peace, and joy in my mind, I could create something incredible. And I just love the process. I love everything that I do. So, here I was just enjoying my life all over again, just really being grateful and appreciating everything. Because I was at a point in my life, a couple of years prior to that, I almost lost everything. So I was in a totally different space. 2020, coronavirus, started, and the pandemic happened. And so that was another blow. But you know what? It didn't hit me hard. I thought I was going to be devastated, because here I was. I had started 3 businesses, and actually they all collapsed in my interesting point of view back in March. And if it was me experiencing the pandemic 3 years ago, I think I would have been dead out of, I don't know, fear, desperation, or depression, or the shock of everything and shock of losing it all.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Actually, I felt kind of shitty and bad for a couple of weeks, but I sprang back up, and I was absolutely fine. And I was so surprised. I was so surprised. I was like, you know what? I still have my body, and everything's fine. I'm going to start everything back again. And that's when I became a Joy of Business facilitator. So in Access, there's a specialty called, there are different specialties, but one of them is Joy of Business. It's founded by this wonderful person called Simone Millises. And everything's falling apart, but I'm committing to become another facilitator in this specialty. And I was just really excited for my life. And I was not willing to give up and, give up on everything again. And I had the awareness that, you know what, this would be an incredible opportunity for me to create something totally new. So I remember I'll tell myself every morning I open my eyes, and this was the time where everybody else was freaking out. Like people were really nervous and worried and fearful and losing their jobs, like all around me. But every morning I would get up in the morning, I'll be like, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, glory, and I choose me, my body, my life, my creativity, and I choose fun. Show me, universe, more ease, more joy, and how can I make more money, And so even my husband, months later told me that how surprised he was to watch me, going through all the things that I went through and the investing that I had like different investing accounts, managing my family money and, my own money. It's like quite substantial amount of money. All that like shrank. I mean, that's what happened to a lot of people, right? Like all over the world, like the funds and mutual funds and stock market just really, really tanked because of all the fear that was in the market. And I was just like, I've been investing for many years. So I went through that sort of ups and downs, but this is just unprecedented. I was not prepared for it. But then who was prepared for things like this? This is like, one of the craziest historical moments. So
yes,
thank goodness I was a facilitator. So, I had all the incredible access consciousness tools on my fingertips. And, there are like a lot of questions that really we could use to bring up more awareness. And so we could, have more choice and more awareness. So I was just like using all those tools, but, by myself, to myself every day. And then started asking, wow, what else could be really possible for me, for my businesses? And, by then I already closed down my offices. I took a big loss, huge loss. But, I let go of all those significance and lost money. And, oh, my goodness, I don't think I would have ever been able to let go of all that feeling of loss without access, to tell the truth. But it was quite easy. Surprising. I'm really surprised to say that now, that I went through that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And when we come back from the break, I would love for you to actually maybe give your top couple of questions that you use to kind of switch your mindset from maybe where you were to where you are now. So stay tuned for those juicy questions in just a couple more minutes. Thanks for listening.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Well, we are talking with Nicole Kim today. Thank you so much for being on the show. And you're talking about, some of the things that you have experienced, even in just the last couple of years, that have been a little bit challenging for you. And then what you chose to go beyond where maybe you would have gone if you hadn't have had the wonderful tools that we were talking about. And I know for me, there's been so many times in the past 8 years where I've looked at things and gone, I am so grateful that I now know that there's these other possibilities, and it's been such a huge contribution. So for you, what are some of the questions that you asked and that you played with that contributed to you knowing that even losing tremendous amounts of money and closing some businesses and some other things that were not maybe the easiest, what questions did you use to get past that and to create beyond?
Oh, okay. So here's this thing that the founder of Access, one of the founders, say often. If I have $100 million every year, what would you choose? What would you do? How would you be? So every January 1st, you get $100 million. Somebody's going to magically deposit that in your bank account.
Yes, please.
So then what are you going to do with it? What would you buy? How would you be? Where would you be? So I started thinking, right? I started writing down all the ideas that popped up. And then you have to spend the money within that year. Now, the following year, January 1st, you're going to receive another $100 million. And then the following year. So I was like, wow, this is so fun. So I started imagining and playing with the question. I was like, I'll teach. I would love to be a facilitator, no matter what, whether I have millions and millions of dollars or not. So great. Oh, and then I was like, wait, I don't have to have millions of dollars. I could still. I'm a facilitator. I can facilitate right now, right? So I realized that, oh my goodness, well, I can choose to just teach small classes, big classes, whatever I choose, or facilitate individuals like one-on-one sessions. I love all that. Oh my goodness. So it was my dream to be able to contribute to people and work as a facilitator. So, wow. Oh, wow. My dream already happened, came true. All right, so let's do that. So I started facilitating more. And then I go, well, if you have $100 million every year, what would you do? So another answer of mine was, I'm going to continue to design and create things, beautiful objects that really contribute to our bodies and really just remind us of our own beauty. Okay, I've already started the brand, so keep doing it. So I was like, okay. It's self-talk really helped. So I had some, this is April, beginning of April, and nothing, all the stores are closed. I couldn't order any precious metals or gems anywhere. All the stores in New York, I live in New York City, all the stores are closed. Oh. So I was like, damn it, I really like to make things, So I set up a small workstation in the living room in our house, in our apartment. And my husband was fine with that. And I started just making things, and I found some pearls that I bought last year, thinking that I'll play with them or make something one day, but I didn't know when. And I remember that I had them. So I pulled them out and I just started playing with them. And I couldn't even get gold wire. So I had to like play with whatever I had in the house, like little steel wire that we bought from Home Depot at one point, whatever that I had. I was just playing with them. And then another thing was, and then like people started noticing them, photos on my Instagram, and some of them expressed, how much they liked them and things like that. So I was like, oh, wow, that's so cool. So I started selling them that way. This is when nobody was able to sell anything. I started selling them. I go visit my friends. Oh, here's another question. Are you willing to do anything and everything? And are you willing to receive from anyone and everyone? And are you willing to receive from anything and everything? So back then, I was not willing to sell, jewelry pieces to people I knew. I felt a little bit kind of embarrassed, or I don't know. I just imagined my business to be through a giant website, or having a really nice retail store on Fifth Avenue, and really those shiny, glitzy, very chic boutique, So my head was all around that sort of image that I could not get past that image. So therefore, I could not sell the jewelry to people who wanted them.
Gotcha.
So, one example, I went to visit my friend, and she saw the jewelry that I was wearing, and she was like, "Oh, wow, that's really nice." And I didn't know what to do with it. And I was thinking, I was so afraid that she wanted to buy it. I was so afraid that she wanted to buy it off of me. And then I remember the question that Gary was using, that are you willing to do anything and everything? Are you willing to receive money from anyone and everyone? And I was like, aha, that question. So I was like, would you like to buy this? And she was like, yeah, sure. So I said the price, and she bought it. She was so happy to buy it. And then another person. And I ended up making more money than ever before since I started jewelry business 10 years ago.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't it crazy? I mean, it's just really mind blowing. There I was, unwilling to sell anything, hoarding everything, just because I was waiting for the glitzy store on Fifth Avenue. Only then I would present my jewelry and sell.
Wow.
And then another question was, actually the same question, I applied it to my investing. So, my portfolios were down, and I couldn't really do with the money because they're all strapped into those accounts, and they were a long-term investment, so I could not get the money out. So they were just all sitting there, and then I didn't know how long it would take for the market to recover. But then I didn't have any cash coming in. My cash flow was horrible around that time. And I really didn't have any different idea as to how I would create the money, right? And I was just repeating the same question. What am I willing to do? Or am I willing to do anything and everything? Am I willing to receive or make money from anything and everything? Over and over again, multiple times, 100, 200 times. And then one day it occurred to me, why am I not? Oh, here's another question I love. So Gary goes, you probably heard him say often, or a lot of other access facilitators say, what's fun for you? What's joy for you? What's so easy for you? It's like playing. It's fun for you that it's not even like work. And you could choose it to do it, and you can make great money. So I was like, what's really fun for me? What's so easy for me? And I thought about it over and over and over again. I asked the question over and over again. One day, lying on the sofa, watching a movie on Netflix, I love investing. I love trading. And why am I not trading? So I realized that my belief back then, this is April, May, my belief back then was that I'm good at long-term investing. I suck at short-term investing. Therefore, I will not do short-term trades. So I was like, wait, whose belief is that? Is it possible that it's somebody else's? So I got rid of that, with Access. There's a clearing statement. You could check out theclearingstatement.com. It's called Right and Wrong, Good and Bad, Pot and Poggle, and Shorts, Boys and Beyonds. You get to clear a lot of the beliefs that no longer belong to you or beliefs that don't even serve you. So I cleared myself a few times, and I researched and I learned how to do short-term trades, and I found out that they're very different mindset than long-term trades, long-term investing. So I started doing it. At first, I made some mistakes and I lost some money, but it didn't discourage me. And I kept going, and then I started making money, more money. So I ended up making, multiple, times of what I used to make within, in 5 months. 300%, 400% of what I used to do, which is insane. I never thought that I could achieve this sort of result. So that's why I'm saying it's really, you can't even know what's possible because it is so beyond what you could expect that I just followed what was fun for me and what was easy for me. And I was willing to let go of all my old beliefs. So I'm just really amazed, now I'm thriving. All the things that I restarted, in July, how does it get any better? I'm just so grateful that I had access to these incredible tools. So I guess it's called Access Consciousness. More choice, more possibilities available,
Also true. So for somebody listening, where they're just like, well, that might be good for you, but it isn't going to work for me. Or they may be kind of curious and have no effing clue what to do or where to start. What would you suggest to them?
I think that question, in terms of questions, something really simple could be something like, what do you enjoy? What do you love to do? It could be something really simple, and again, it's something super easy and simple to you that you never think that you'll make money from it or you'll be really successful using it for your business or creating a new business or things like that. But it's highly possible that you could use it and have lots of fun, more fun, and you'll always be like play because you already enjoy doing it. So then it's possible that there will be a lot of other people out there in the world who really like what you create or offer. And something like that.
Well, it popped in too as you were saying that and if you can't think of what you're good at, you can ask your friends and your family.
Yeah.
Because we can be our own worst critics and think, well, I'm not good at anything. Well, and then it's, well, is that true? And what would your friends and family tell you? And that's the piece you said earlier, and it's so true. It's like, what is so easy for you that you discount it? You're like, oh, everybody can do that, so why would anybody pay me? And right there's going to be people in the world who cannot do that piece or don't want to do it, right? One or the other, and they're like, would be happy to give you money, and you're looking at them like, y'all are insane. Why in the world would you be giving me money for this? And that's exactly, so those are some of the things that, Nicole was touching on today, and I can think of even in my own life, I can think of so many different ways and shapes that I could be creating money that, or for the things that are just easy or fun, and you think, why would anybody give me money for that? And right there, you guys, is something that maybe you could look at some more, right?
Yeah, I realize that there are so many people out there who really love my work, who really appreciate my efforts and my talents, and they just adore me. What a gift. And had I not started doing whatever I started doing, I'd have never known that there are so many people who appreciate me, even though I used to be always sort of critical of my abilities and, capacities and creativity. Guess what? There are so many people out there who love what you do and what you offer. And it's just so amazing. Yeah. And it's just really mind-boggling to me that I was not willing to offer all that to other people or to the world. And what if a lot more of us could actually enjoy, showing our work or sharing our talents and gifts with other people, no matter how small that is. To you, it may be small, but maybe to other people, it's something incredible.
So true. And if you would, if you had tried to imagine 3 years ago or 5 years ago what you would be creating today, and somebody had told you that all of this stuff would have gone on, what would you have responded with?
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? Even for myself, for me to go back to 3 years ago, it was so hard for me to let go of that job, and thinking that, my life would be so difficult or whatever. But look at me, I'm thriving. Those friends who didn't want me to leave my corporate job or my full-time, paycheck or whatever, cushy paycheck. But guess what? There's just so much out there available to you if you choose. And there are wonderful, wonderful tools that you could use to make your dreams happen and discover actually they are actually more available beyond your dreams as well. And that's amazing.
Nicole, thank you so much for this great conversation of talking about what else is possible beyond your imagination.